Boyd McKinney, creator of Unerased Black Women Speak, and your host for the July edition of Unereased Recorded Live. This month we feature past episodes of storytellers and history makers. The clips are as timeless as the theme. Don't mess with our legacy. This is an homage to brilliance, boldness, and bravery of Black women. The late author, writer Valerie Boyd, who immortalized Zora Neale Hurston. Filmmaker Christine Swanson, whose award-winning short exalts the great Fannie Lou Hamer. And expats of today and yesterday, whose expanded borders to be seen, heard, and felt. And that's what legacy is all about. We begin with a poem and end with 3 change agents who share their favorite history makers. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did producing it. Stay strong, stay curious, and see you soon.
Young, small, and growing, often violently. Music can't save you, but it marks a place, and the knife can be a fierce negotiator. I learned this reckoning from the women raising me, my mother's 4 sisters, my father's 3, grandmothers, play cousins, surrogate aunties. They crowd the table throwing cards and customs warbling. I take a shining to everything they allow me to hear. The Wiz and Kingdom melodies, Motown handle every haunt and opening. They tell me singing is my gift. Use it for rapture, not apology. And to cut any boy who messes with me. At funerals, weddings, school assemblies, my voice is their tender yield. Boys, brave enough to try me, always learn what I'm learning to be. A straight blade, a canticle, bigger than their scattering. Curve and contour of mother's hands, echo, aurora, an orchestra, a galaxy.
Gathered here tonight to honor the late Valerie Boyd. She is a beloved writer, editor, and Herculean figure in the world of American literature in general and Black women literature in particular. She is revered by Alice Walker, A'Lelia Bundles, Charlene Hunter Gault, and a host of Black women writers and literary fans here and abroad. Many of the writers that we're talking about are here with us tonight. As I said, Valerie Boyd is a researcher, editor, and writer. She wrote the definitive biography of Zora Neale Hurston entitled Wrapped in Rainbows. She died far too young on February 12th of this year. And 2 months to the day later, this week on April 12th, Simon & Schuster released the last book that she edited, called Gathering Blossoms Under Fire, The Journals of Alice Walker from 1965 to 2000. Valerie talked about how pleased she was to get this assignment and forged a lifelong friendship with Alice Walker. But let us get our show started today. We are joined by some of the best writers in our country's history. Some of you guys I know well. We are joined today by Joyce Davis, Shea Youngblood, Karen Marable, Denise Milner, Tina McElroy Ansa, and Sarah, my little brain has just clicked off. Sarah Lomax, please forgive me. I do love you, Sarah. I do love you.
Fine.
You told a story about Valerie Boyd. Have with us today Sonia Ross. And Sonia Ross is a childhood friend of Valerie's and also the founder of Black Women on Music, who is our partner today. Sonia, tell us about who Valerie was as a child.
Oh, everybody who knew Valerie already knows what Valerie was like as a child, because the Valerie she was when she left this earth was the same Valerie from when she was 9, 10, 11 years old. We lived in the same community on the west side of Atlanta and attended both George Alexander Towns Elementary School and Charles Lincoln Harbor High School together. Valerie was my first editor in life. She was the editor of the Trojan Courier newspaper at Harper. Val was quiet, deep, cerebral, even then, cool, calm, and as smooth and easygoing as you can imagine. Sometimes children have a rambunctious attitude toward life or an approach. She wasn't merry like that, jolly and skipping like that. She was a regular little girl, but she was a cool customer from day one.
Tonight, we are actually paying tribute to Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the most consequential change agents of our times, of all times, actually. In a day when enemies of racial justice are attempting to snatch our books from the shelves and erase our heroes from the annals of history, we have to step up and stand up. We all must reach, teach, educate, and remember. This is our legacy we're protecting. To get this started, we want to talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, a tribute. Fannie Lou Hamer was both extraordinary and every woman. By the time she was 6, she had joined her family in sharecropping. Though stricken with polio, Fannie, the youngest of 20 children, could bale up to 300 pounds of cotton a day. Fannie, the adult activist, would stare down peril, shot at, beaten, jailed, threatened, and once told by a Klansman, "We will make you wish you were dead." Not only fearless, Fannie was a collaborator across generations, gender, and racial divides. She launched Mississippi Freedom Summer with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She joined white women to form the National Women's Political Caucus and worked with the National Council of Negro Women to launch the Pig Project, providing protein to impoverished sharecroppers. And to support rural economic development, she started the Freedom Farm Cooperative. In 1964, she led the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party to the DNC convention in Atlantic City. They were demanding to be seated as delegates. You'll hear more about that in a moment. To venerate Fannie's greatness, we have a prolific storyteller and filmmaker, Christine Swanson. Hi, Christine. You came on a little sooner, but I'm going to do my intro of you. Christine hails from Detroit, and she sealed her career in film at NYU Tisch School. Her directorial credits are long. They include the award-winning Clark sisters, the First Ladies of Gospel. She has developed, written, and or directed projects for HBO, Lionsgate, Universal Television, Warner Brothers, CBS, TV One, A&E Network, BET Films, Stars, and Face Filmwork. I think I got it all. Huh. At any rate, she is the mother of 4 who range in age from, 11 to 22, and she lives with her husband in Los Angeles. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Glenn. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you because I just want to cut right to the chase. I think we have a trailer of Fannie the Short. Can you set it up for us, whatever you feel the audience, especially for folks who have never seen the film, can you set it up and tell us what they're going to see and what's going on here?
Yeah, I would tell people to prepare to hear the voice of a beloved figure from the South who was born and raised there, and because of the circumstances of being a sharecropper in Mississippi and growing up picking cotton, there were some things that Mrs. Hamer experienced that she's going to speak about in this monologue, and just feel what she has to say, because her words are poignant today as they were when she spoke them.
Great. And I think it's about 1:30. It's a short of the short. Okay. Right. So April, take it away.
I question America. See, Mississippi is a rough place. They not going around carrying out lynching like they used to. But they keep you from eating. They starve you to death. All of this is happening right now in Mississippi. And see, Mississippi is not Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem, because if America wanted to do something about Mississippi, it would have done so by now. Over these 2 years, all these churches have been bombed and burned. And nobody said nothing about it. Nobody did too much about that. But you let something be burned down by a black woman, and oh my God. That flag is drenched in our blood. Because so many of our ancestors was killed because we never accepted slavery. That flag is drenched in our blood. That flag is drenched in our blood. This country was built on the black backs of black people all over this country. That flag is drenched in our blood. They know what they done to us.
Whew. Wow. I tell you, I want to just let our audience know, if you have not seen this 9-minute and 15-second film, and every second of it just takes you in. We actually have it online at, you can go to Unerased, BWS.com, and we've got it there along with a feature and some other little background. So visit our website and check out the documentary. Powerful, I agree with you. It is powerful. Christine, every second of that 9-minute film is riveting. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering what made you all decide to follow the short documentary format?
Well, technically, it's a narrative film because we have an actress portraying Fannie Lou Hamer, but it feels like a documentary because I intercut documentary or real video or film images. So it's kind of, we call it a hybrid mixed media presentation. So what inspired us to do this was because Anjanou Ellis, being from Mississippi and having grown up there, did not know who Fannie Lou Hamer was when she was growing up. And when she discovered who she was, and this is after attending Brown University, NYU University, and never ever hearing about Fannie Lou Hamer, I think she felt some kind of way about the idea that she did not know this hero lived right in her backyard. So she started on a quest to write a story to honor Mrs. Hamer in the feature film format. And she wrote this prolific script that's actually an award-winning script. It won a major screenwriting contest. And she thought, hey, why don't we make a short film just to kind of give people a taste of what this story could be. So I ended up applying for a film grant from an organization called Chromatic Black, and they gave out $15,000 grants. No, actually, it was $10,000 to make a film like this. So they gave it out to disruptive filmmakers to do something that kind of could move the cultural zeitgeist in the right direction.
And so tonight, our subject is expats, the expat experience, no place like home. And before we get into our conversation and bring our fabulous guest on, I just want to give you a quick public service announcement. Unerased Black Women Speak has featured this subject in our podcast, which just went live yesterday by the same topic. Take a look. You can visit us at unereasedbws.com and it's streamed there, or you can go to any of your favorite streaming sites, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And by the way, why don't you subscribe? So I am thrilled to welcome two really dynamic women. One hails from Panama City, Panama. The other, well, her world is the canvas. The canvas is her world, or whatever you say. And in fact, she is literally at an airport in Montreal headed back to Paris. So let's bring on Charlotte Van Horn, who is joining us from Panama. And she is the creator and founder of Black Expats in Panama. And let's bring on Julia Brown, who is a historian, tour guide extraordinaire, and also the founder of Walking the Spirit Paris Tours. Welcome, ladies. Okay, but before we get to them, we're going to hear a little bit about Charlotte Van Horn and her Black Expats in Panama, and then you'll meet her. Take a look.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Charlotte Van Horn with Black Expats in Panama, and I'm coming to you to invite you to an exciting new radio broadcast that will be beginning on November 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's right, we have our own radio show now on BlackSitRadio.com, and it's going to be my journey from small town USA, Glassboro, New Jersey, all the way to the amazing, fortifying, full of opportunity Panama City, Panama, baby. And we're going to allow others to share their experiences too. So for those of you who have thought about Black City, you don't want to miss this broadcast, and it's going to be every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In addition to talking about Panama and my journey, we're going to throw in some oldies for you too, in memory of my mother, the amazing Charlotte Evelyn Bailey Higginbotham. She used to love to listen to oldies on Sunday, and that is how I honor her memory to this very day. So in honor of mommy, we're going to throw in some oldies. We're going to mix it up. And you know me, I'm funny because that's what I do. So don't miss it because there's so much in store for you. That's BlackSitRadio.com on November 7th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you there on that Sunday and every other Sunday. Don't mix it. BlackSitRadio.com.
Hey,
Hey! Oh my goodness. I haven't seen that video in a minute. Hey!
we are so excited to have you.
I'm
And
excited
actually,
to be here.
I want you, we're going to bring Julia up in a minute, but before we do, I'm going to allow you to do a quick public service announcement to tell our audience what is well, first of all, we know about the radio show, and
Yes.
it's still on 4 o'clock.
It's at 2 p.m. Costa Rica time. So it changes. But right now, yes, it is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On Sunday.
Do it from blacksit.com.
BlackSitRadio.com. Yes, ma'am.
BlackSitRadio.com.
Yes.
Tune in, folks. Tell us a little bit about what Blacks Expats in Panama is all about.
Okay, let me see if I could do an elevator pitch right quick. Black Expats in Panama is about options. It's about people that, it was developed for people that were looking and seeking other opportunities outside of the United States. I happen to be a Black expat in Panama and created a cultural relocation tour to help folk experience Panama as far as living here. We show you areas in and around Panama City and also some of the beach areas where to live. But then we also, what's unique about our tours is that we add a cultural perspective. You can't have Black nothing without bringing on the Black cultural, perspective. So we show you the history of Afro-Panamanians, Afro-Antillians in Panama, and it is a life-changing event. 5 days. We do it every month from the 1st through the 5th, typically every month except for October and November. So that's just a quick synopsis. I can go on and on, but I won't.
we know you can go on and on, Sister Brent. I will say this, and this is one of the things how I stumbled on Charlotte. We met very recently and feel like we've known each other for a lifetime. Charlotte lived close to my hometown of Philadelphia, Glassboro, New Jersey. And prior to her becoming an expat, or what we call expatriates, she had really not ventured out of the United States.
Nope.
But she is among a growing, expanding number of Black folks, especially Black women, who are picking up, taking wings, and landing in other places, other countries. And for many reasons, some of it has to do with they're just sick of being here. They want a new life. Some of it is politically. They want to be closer to a place where they can be valued and appreciated. Some of it has to do with economics. And I guess we're going to have a little conversation with you, Charlotte, in a minute to talk a little bit about what made you leave. But before we do, I just want to say there's a growing number now, and we're hearing more and more about it thanks to social media and all the digital technology.
Right.
But it's not new. Black people have expatriated from the United States of America for at least 100 years. And I'd like to, first of all, bring on Julia Brown, who is she's a historian in her own right and a tour guide in her own right. And she has really dug deep into Paris. Julia was born in the UK, raised in Canada, and then moved to Paris as her home. She happened to move to Paris and is in good company with the likes of many, many expatriates. We know Langston Hughes and James Baldwin. Hi, Julia. Julia is literally at the airport, folks. She is on her way to Paris, and she wanted to do the show. So when you hear the noise in the background, this is authentic. This is airport noise. And there is Julia. Well, we think that's Julia. While we're getting Julia back, April, maybe Julia can take us on a tour of Paris. We have a brief video, and Julia does Walking the Spirit tours, helping Black Americans and anyone who's interested to learn about Paris. April, why don't we just go to the video right now, and then we'll bring Julia back in a minute.
Coming up this hill, we're now going up Avenue de Clichy, and we are heading towards Place Clichy. But on the right-hand side, you can see straight away a place called the Casino de Paris. And this is where the 369th Harlem Regiment, who I said were honored on the Champs-Élysées, they went back to New York, reformed, and came back and played at the Casino de Paris in a room called the Perroquet Room. They played there for 6 years. And the African-American musicians here, they were considered, nobody else knew how to play jazz. And when the clubs decided that they wanted the French musicians to play jazz, the French musicians thought, well, this isn't real music. So they didn't want to play it. So this is the hot spot here, the Casino de Paris. When Josephine Baker came here in 1925, she was not the first to arrive. A woman named Bricktop. Has anybody heard of Bricktop? She got here before Josephine Baker got here. She was called Bricktop because she had bright red hair, but Josephine said it was because she also had a temper of the Irish as well, which wasn't surprising because she was half Irish, half Black. But Bricktop she was used to in the state to performing in big clubs and having the great treatment. But when she came to Paris, she was booked into a place called Le Grand Duc. She looked at it and she saw how small it was. It probably had like maybe up to 12 tables. And this place was run by Eugene Boulard, the first African-American pilot. Anyway, he was running the club. And we're coming up to it. You'll find it on the right-hand corner here that says Café Brasserie Le Coq. That's where Bricktop performed first, right in the corner. She started singing here, saw how small it was, sat down and cried. Langston Hughes was working in the back there, believe it or not. He just lived up the street there. He'd come down the hill, working, washing dishes in the back there. And while he's washing dishes, he's listening to Bricktop in the front, performing. And then he starts working in his mind. He starts creating jazz poetry. So the very first jazz poetry was created in the back room here of this little place, and it was called the Grand Duc. Well, you know, Bricktop was an entrepreneur. She didn't stay there long. She crossed the street, right where it says Nicolas. We think it's right on this corner here, but we know it is across the street from where she was formerly employed. And she opened her own place, Bricktops. And it was a huge success. She had people like Scott Fitzgerald came, Hemingway, Cole Porter was there. We're on Rue Fontaine here, which was called the Black Montmartre, the heart of Black Montmartre. And on the left-hand side is where Josephine Baker, we don't know which number it was, but Josephine had her own club here called Chez Josephine. Of course, Josephine was used to the high style, and it was expected of her in her club. It was one of the most expensive in the city.
Tell us from a historical, let's put a historical context on this, because as I said, it may feel like there's more volume because of social media and digital. But in the past, over those years, especially the exodus to France and to Europe, what was making Black people leave there?
Okay, I just missed a little bit of can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear. And what I was saying is, what drove the exodus of the 20th century in terms of expats? Because it wasn't just France, it was also Germany. I mean, throughout Europe, people left.
Well, if you go back to the 1920s, it was first of all, one of the big motivations was World War I, because African Americans came and fought in World War I, and those who were able to get onto the field or into battle, they won so many medals, and they just proved themselves, and they proved themselves in a way that nobody expected them to, but they knew they could do it. And so when the word got back home, that they were decorated soldiers in Europe and treated with respect, people went, oh, well, let's go see what's going on over there. But there was also the fact that there was prohibition as well in the United States that brought a lot of people wanted to leave. But there was also the fact that those many of those the soldiers here that fought in World War I, they brought jazz with them, and they introduced jazz to the Europe, and the Europeans loved it. They absolutely loved it. And it was something they never had. It's something they couldn't play themselves. So the only people who could actually perform that music that the French were so in love with, and other Europeans, was the African Americans. And so African Americans could find jobs easily, and there was none of this coming in through the back door kind of thing. It was, you came into the front door, you were celebrated, you were a star when you walked down the street.
We're going to have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to present 4 dynamic Black women in history who have been pathfinders and whose shoulders many people stand on. One of them was not an expat. Now, there's a giveaway here. And for our audience, I want you to put the name in the chat box, list it, send it to us, okay? Number 1, and we're going to do a little bit of, number 1, we have Josephine Baker. Now, we already gave that one away. We know she's an expert. Number 2, Maya Angelou. Number 3, Alice Walker. And number 4, Nina Simone. I'll give you a minute to think about it, folks. And also for Julia and Charlotte, I want you to think about it too. Okay?
Which one, you saying which one was not an expat? Okay.
Okay, Julia, can I ask you to mute because the airport sounds are pretty loud. Audience.
You want me to mute?
Yes, if you can mute, and we're going to ask people put in the chat box, if you can, Maya Angelou, Alice Walker, Nina Simone, and Josephine, well, not the chat box, just in your Facebook, just Facebook Live us, right?
Yeah.
Just send us a message. Who of these 4 women that you see on this screen, which one was not? You're all in the show. You can, audience, you can give us some love. Someone said Maya Angelou. Any more guesses?
You want us to guess now?
No, you may know. Okay. I'm asking the audience.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to give it away.
Okay.
All right. Who do you, I'll let each of you guess. Charlotte and Julia, who do you think?
I think it was Alice Walker, because I think Maya, I know Josephine and Nina were abroad, and I know that Maya was abroad.
And you do a process of elimination.
Process of elimination.
All right. Julia, who do you say?
I say Alice Walker.
Yes, and I saw Audrey Edwards, our friend who's featured in our podcast, Runaway, American Runaway. She also said Alice Walker. You are correct.
Yes.
Maya spent some time, and it was not a long time. And of course, Alice Walker did attend school, and in Uganda, and she spent time in Kenya, but not as an expat. Nina Simone eventually became so disenchanted with the United States, with the politics, with the racism. She lived abroad in the 70s, and then finally, she spent a lot of time in Liberia, Barbados, and ultimately in Europe, and she decided to never come back as a full-time resident of the United States. So that's a little bit of trivia, history, etc. So back to our guests, back to Charlotte. I think you've already offered the upsides of your resettlement. Tell us, what are the downsides?
Well, just real quick to piggyback off of what Julia was saying, and the reception that Black people got in France, that is just a phenomena that I have encountered here in Panama. It's like I have been asked to sit at the table with people who owned hospitals. I am able to get into groups and tables and conversations that was just not happening in the United States. And I think it's because there's racism and isms everywhere. But here, I think in other countries, it's more classism and economics that drive people's opinion about you before more than the color. So that's been really, really nice for me. The downside, like I was saying, is really an upside. It's Spanish. Spanish is very, very intimidating to me. When you're moving to
Have you learned? Have you learned?
It's a process, okay, Gwen? I'm learning.
Everyone can't be like our friend, our multilingual friend, Julia Brown, of course.
But I intend to be. I claim it. I really do. And now that I'm here permanently.
So much more done together than we can apart.
With passion, purpose, and control.
She said what it was going to be, and where it was going to go.
My favorite history maker is Dr. Dorothy Irene Height, who I was honored to say I could call her my mentor, my Sarah, my leader and friend. And what did I learn from her was the power of we, the power of coalition, and how we can get so much more done together than we can apart. And also she taught me as an African American woman that whenever I have to show up somewhere, I bring all of that with me, my whole self with me, and I represent all of that.
My most important her story maker is Harriet Tubman. She took people from point A to point B to save their lives at the expense of her life with passion, purpose, and control. Eradicating Black breast cancer and helping Black women is my purpose. It's a God-given purpose. It's what I'm supposed to do. And I think that was what she was supposed to do. She knew that. She was very spirit-led. And I know this is my God job. She had a God job and I have a God job.
My favorite Black woman history maker is my mom, Beulah Jordan. The reason why she inspired me is because she never held back. She said what it was going to be, and where it was going to go. And I held on to that my entire life.